We're reshaping the world of fintech and AI software engineering. We craft custom software solutions that help financial companies drive business success and operational efficiency. During our live stream today, our expert speakers will mostly focus on improving the efficiency of customer service and HR processes through the integration of ChatGPT chatbots. But you'll also learn about the latest AI trends and the current state of AI adoption in the European banking industry. See practical AI use cases and more. So buckle up, it's going to be a truly insightful session. And our first speaker has an extensive list of achievements in financial software creation. He has built over 40 custom fintech solutions that help clients attract over $10 million in net profit. He has years of experience in effectively managing a neo-banking product ecosystem with multiple teams, contributing to a total of 120 full-time employees, and he is currently leading 7 fintech projects across a variety of fintech subdomains. I'm sure you are already intrigued. Without further ado, let's meet Anton Hapiev, the head of the fintech unit at Yalantis.
Hello. Thank you very much, Victor, for such a warm words and such a great introduction. While I'm sharing my screen, today we will be talking about intelligent assistant opportunities, and precisely we will touch topics on how generative AI can help into tackling challenges of high turnover in banking sector. We will go through more of high-level overview of the strategic foresight in the whole technical landscape for the BFSI sector. Then we will touch a bit in deeper details AI adoption strategies and what generative AI essentially can offer to the tackling of high turnover in these areas. As an introduction part we already passed, then let's jump straight to the strategic foresight. And as a starter, let me just briefly provide you an overview of what are the most trendy things we will be dealing with in the year 2024. And what will be on our plate when it comes to the technical evolution of banking services. Obviously, it's generative AI, and in a later speech of my colleague Dennis, he'll provide more high-level overview of what this technology can bring to the table in the whole sector. And in my speech, I will be mostly focused on the what generative AI can offer for optimization of internal processes and what this technology piece can bring to bank employees. And why so? Because when it comes to generative AI, mostly banks they like think about that as building some additional value for their customers, but not for their employees. And I believe it's it still could be an option, but the alternative option and to my opinion more beneficial option is to look through that from the perspective of optimization of internal operations, and particularly to bring additional value for bank customers. As we already discussed, to address the challenges of high turnover rates in the BFSI sector. But is it really high? And is there some challenges for that? Well, according to the Crow Bank research, like in the year 2022 and 2023, nearly each fifth bank non-officer employee left like the organization, and from bank to bank, from department to department, this percentage and this number could be different. But still, even what I heard and saw from the latest events, that's definitely a challenge. And again, according to Crow report, there are top 3 challenges or reasons of why bank employees are leaving their organizations. And among them, it's lack of career development, it's inadequate total compensation, and a lack of place flexibility. And the question we should be asking is what a generative AI could offer for banks when it comes to addressing of this challenges. And is there some additional value or approaches or maybe tool set that could be built to reduce this number? Because on average, again, in the same market in the US, the average number of turnover, it's 10.6, which is twice less comparing to the BFSI sector. And although it's like still a question whether organization wants to start the adoption of AI from the internal operations optimization or from bringing the additional value for their employees. There is definitely a trend when it comes to addressing these challenges that after COVID era, the trend of working remotely still with us, and more and more banks and organizations are willing to adopt the remote format of cooperation. And again, as Crow says, in the current 2023 year, there are more and more organizations, essentially 11% more banks are willing to hire people and employees remotely, essentially not into geographic locations of their branches or of their offices. And again, what does it mean for us is that for those employees who are hired remotely into different locations, this challenge of being integrated and this feeling of being part of an organization is a big challenge. And again, in addition to the previous slide, this sense of being flexible, but still being integrated, well educated, and with like proper access to all the fresh information is definitely a challenge. And then in this paradigm, I believe that AI indeed can bring some additional value, and we can build some tools and approaches, essential strategies onto addressing those challenges. And for any organization, when it comes to choosing the starting point, and especially for HR directors or people managers, I believe we should all start from the analyzing the employer journey map. Why so? It's because the best approach, to my opinion, to understand the starting point for adoption of AI is understanding the problem. And although the number of problems already clear according to Crow, we can go even deeper and decompose the value journey map and see where are those weak points in which we can enhance or improve our operations and bring additional value. So essentially to address those problems that were localized by Crow. Whether it's some issues of the onboarding, and like a lot of people come to your bank, to your organization, and they struggle with proper onboarding, and then they are challenged with some tasks for in their position, but without proper context, they cannot really fulfill their assignments. Whether it's an issue of career development, essentially lack of feedback or lack of proper and addressed information for their career development. It also could be a good starting point for building some tool sets, essentially assistance to help them to provide like contextual and kind of personalized information for their needs that would serve especially for their access of information, for their level of seniority, and for their job role. Yeah. Or maybe it could be a sense of addressing the performance issues. Like if you have some employee who is struggling with some area, some domain that they need to improve the knowledge in, it could be personified trainings and materials that would precisely address their their challenges. So analyzing this employee journey map could be really a good starting point for any organization if they plan to enhance their value for employees and address the high turnovers. But then, what are those strategies, and from what can we start this journey, right? There are a few examples I wanted to introduce based on the experience we've got from our projects and based on the insights we've got from latest events. We were really happy to attend few banking events in Europe this year, in Warsaw, in Amsterdam, and really a lot of discussions were around this smart assistants. And here on the slide, there are a few examples of what could be achieved using the generative AI. First and foremost, it's HR onboarding and training. Yeah, it could be a really personified experience for newcomers based on their title and job profile with relevant information and resources for the best onboarding experience, with continuous surveys and questionnaires to make sure that they really utilize the opportunity to get the most relevant information and track their onboarding loop. It could be multilingual operations, automation, especially it's relevant for bigger organizations, for transnational corporations. When, for example, you have some departments of IT support in India, and then your headquarters are in a European Union, you can use ChatGPT powered bots to streamline the communication, and each of team members could speak directly into using their native language, and essentially that's a feeling of being like interrupted, or this overhead of communication could be resolved using this HR bots or assistants for your team communication. Then another strategy, it could be automated HR task management. Again, for managing your sick leaves or vacations, for approvals and so on and so forth. To simplify and streamline this process, it could be really a good starting point. And there are a few more, but essentially, as I mentioned, really understanding the problem should be a starting point. And after that, having this understanding set and all the expectations aligned, the modern technology set of GPT bots could really bring the value. And just to prove my words, let me provide you an example. It's again an insight brought from a conference in Amsterdam, and the Netherlands bank ABN AMRO started the journey of adoption AI back in 2018. They actually started it from rolling it out to their customers, but at some point they understood that due to huge limitations into regulations, they can bring even more value to their employees, so that their customer support operations could be built more robust, and they can optimize the process to even new level. They call their assistant Anna, and this is essentially the personal assistant for each customer support agent who can help to tackle daily operations of their customer support agents, who could assist with some ticketing information, who could, as I mentioned, help in the translation of some daily operations for the team members, and who can provide like most relevant insights from their knowledge base, from their policies, from their documents and regulation acts. On the slide, there is also a link, so we would be happy to provide you as a follow-up this deck with recording of the speech, of the presentation of some guys from this bank, and they really provide a lot of additional information on the subject with some insight on how this thing was built for them. But the key thing, as they claim, it helped them to challenge to resolve really big challenge for their turnover into customer support teams, which was almost 40% before they started actively invest into this technology, and it was reduced to 20% by when this solution became robust and they well educated the model. And I think it's a really great proof of this hypothesis, and for them it's already working solution that is and helps their employers. Then into conclusion, just a few takeaways for you guys. First of all, what we should take from my speech. The turnover rate in the BFSI sector indeed high. It's twice higher than the average rate in the US, as an example. And there are some challenges related to that. Banks more than never now adopt the remote format of cooperation, and it's again another challenge to ensure that bank employees are well integrated, that they have an access to the most relevant information, and they are essentially tracked and have access to fresh updates, and their career development is properly fit to their expectation and to the expectation of their employees. And although the AI adoption is really on the roadmap of essentially all the banks for the next year, the concerns from the regulator is still in place, and the good starting point for banks could be adoption of AI from the internal side, building this infrastructure for their employees, and on top of that, the further expansion of these opportunities could take place once the appropriate tool set and infrastructure is built internally for bank employees. And last but not least, adoption of AI really can help us to prevent or to mitigate those challenges that were detected by Crow, and there are effective strategies for addressing the career development, lack of opportunities for bank employee, and obviously for managing this remote format of work, which is with us now for a while, and those opportunities really could help to build proper integrated value journey map. That's all I've got for you for today. Maybe there are some questions.
Yeah, actually, thank you so much for the presentation, and let's jump straight into the Q&A session. Well, as you have already mentioned, that the AI adoption and generative AI adoption is the new trend, and it's jumping into the fintech industry. I was wondering if there are already some of your clients, possibly, that you are collaborating with, if any of them are considering the implementation of AI chatbots or already implementing them in their projects, in their systems.
Yeah, indeed. Right now we're working on a few of such projects with our clients, and it's really a trend. And nowadays we have more than 5 so-called pre-sales when we discover this opportunity for our potential clients also. And we have a few of them already built, and now they are on the stage of this learning of models. So essentially, we are working on the so-called tuning stage or context gaining stage for their bots.
That's great. So it's not only just a trend and just an insight from a conference. It's more than that. It's already statistically proven among the clients. That's awesome. That's great. It's that close. All right. Thank you. The next question for you would be about the example you've provided with the Bank and the chatbot Anna, I guess, right?
Yes.
That sounds like a really well-developed system already, possibly with a lot of databases included and lots of machine learning in the background. But is it going to be easy to jump into a similar system? Maybe there is like a lighter step into model because, well, not every business is ready to invest at once, right? And is there a solution which is lighter, maybe?
Yeah, I think first of all, we should understand that Bank, they started their journey back in 2018, and they really pioneers into this technology, and they saw somehow this opportunity back then. But and they built a really solid and comprehensive solution that covers multiple areas. But when it comes to organizations, not only banks, but any organizations that wants to tackle AI nowadays, they can start from really addressing like single problems or like some precise challenge. As I mentioned, it could start from analyzing employee journey map, as I showed before, and for that, some precise solution could be used. And just a quick spoiler, Dennis will share some light on that. What we thought about could be like used for addressing this. But yeah, like the key thing here is understanding the problem. And once this understanding is in place, there are few options for accelerators to be deployed that could really save a lot of resources, and organization can utilize this AI opportunity literally in weeks, not in years.
That's great. Well, yeah, that's, I guess, some of the fears that most businesses have today. Unfortunately, the myth that implementing AI is a lot of cost taking, a lot of time taking, resources, and luckily and finally we're getting to the stage where it's getting more and more affordable and more effective. All right, thank you so much for the answers. Got one more last question, I guess, so that we could proceed more. Before we jump into the demonstration, we've talked a lot about the benefits, the advantages of implementing AI. Are there any downsides, maybe pitfalls or challenges, any businesses that are thinking and already possibly stepping into the AI implementation or adoption should be aware of before they plan the implementation itself?
Yeah, there is still a huge elephant in the room, and it's essentially uncertainty that is brought by regulators. And when organizations consider like adoption of some bigger functionality powered by AI, they should always understand that some of them are still not properly covered or like explained to the regulator. And what I got from the attending and listening to speakers in Europe is that literally some organizations budget and plan specific stages for awareness for the regulator, and essentially not just develop the feature, but also allocate some time and budget to educate the regulator on what they are built and how they plan to use it, because the regulation is still really highly conservative, and they need to like explain in a sense what are the challenges and what the opportunities they brought to the market, so that regulator could pass this feature for the launch. I think this is the biggest challenge as of now, but obviously there are still a few risks related to data security and to privacy, which are, to my like, I believe, less critical compared to the regulation.
I see. Well, yeah, probably some stories that are related with Windows license key giveaways, probably. Yeah, I heard that.
As an example.
All
I
right.
also met a woman in Amsterdam, and like she was quite an experienced lady. She was a lawyer, and she was kidding, I guess, but she said that I wish that in years, 5 years before my like before the pension starts, we won't have this GPT widely spread in our organization, because I really don't want to explain to regulator on of like what we are building and what are the like underhood logic of data processing in it, because for her it was really a nightmare.
Well, yeah, that does sound like a nightmare. I guess we should start building solutions that will be educating regulators themselves. The best way to educate them. All right, thank you so much. Thank you, Anton. It was a great session and a great explanation of what we should be expecting in the banking area. And we are ready for our next presentation. Thank you so much, Anton. Our next speaker also has an impressive record of accomplishments. He has over a decade of experience with data science, AI, and machine learning. He has built 4 neobanking solutions as an engineer, tech lead, and architect. He has set up an R&D and innovation office in more than 2 organizations, and is truly passionate about architecture methodologies. He has prepared over 100 technical leaders to become architects. That's an amazing figure. And this amazing speaker has prepared a live demonstration of an AI-powered digital assistant that will showcase the prototype's capabilities and demonstrate how it can streamline and automate various banking processes. So I'm introducing Denis Doronin, the CTO at Yalantis, as our next star of the show. So please start.
Thank you, Victor. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the second part of our today's event. I will continue the topic of AI today with my presentation about generative AI and virtual assistants in fintech industry. And basically, we will start with some short generative AI space overview. We will walk through basic terminology, introduce some important notions. Then we will move to virtual AI assistants. How can we implement them? What is that technology? What are use cases applicable to fintech? And after that, actually, we will take a look into how we have implemented that for our organization, make a short technology dive, explain technical details. And actually, after it, I will conduct a short live demo of our working solution. So let's get started. First, let's actually talk a little bit about generative AI space. So what does it mean, generative AI? Generative AI, it's a set of artificial intelligence systems that have unique capability to generate new content. So you can generate text, you can generate images, you can generate other forms of data, and such systems, they can simulate human-like creative processes, and that actually allows them to create original and diverse content. Basically, how can we apply generative AI? We can use generative AI for text generation, obviously. We can generate marketing materials, we can generate articles, we can generate documents, we can generate a wide range of textual data. We can do data augmentation. Since generative AI can generate almost any type of data, we can use it for our own internal purposes. So for example, if you have your own R&D center, or you have your data analytics and they are lacking some data for simulations or for building models, we can assist such process with generative AI. So essentially, we can use generative AI as a complementary model for your data science team. Last but not least, we can use generative AI for other types of content. So basically, we can generate images, we can generate audio, we can generate video. So we have multiple ways we can apply generative AI to different tasks. But let's take a look on what would be specific benefits for fintech in terms of using generative AI. Actually, first, we can use generative AI for customer support automation. Actually, we can build a model that will handle routine tasks, speaking to customer, for example, answering queries, guiding them through some complex financial processes, and possibly offer some recommendations. Then, of course, generative AI can help with efficient content generation. As I said on the previous slide, we can use it for marketing materials, for advertising materials, or even for internal communications. So that can speed up the process of communication, the process of generating new content for your organization. Then we can use generative AI for personalized experiences based on user preferences, based on behavior, based on previous history of communication with you and your platform. Generative AI can build a model, and actually we can build a model that would suggest proper services or proper products for your customers. Then generative AI can help with fraud detection, because basically generative AI and AI technology, they work well when we need to find some hidden patterns or anomalies in your data. Of course, that will help to speed up process of fraud detection. It can work in real time. We can provide actually detection mechanism that will block some fraudulent actions in your platforms. And then generative AI can help with regulatory and compliance. Since generative AI can generate new type of content, then of course we can generate policies, we can analyze compliance documents, and based on that analysis, generative AI can make summarization. We can apply your context of your organization at your knowledge base, and actually generate draft policies. Of course, we cannot use them as it is. We need to proofread them, but that will dramatically speed up the process of generating some documents for specific organizations. And of course, since generative AI has summarization capabilities, we can use it for data-driven insights. We all have vast amount of data. We all know that processing data is a hard task. That's why generative AI can be helpful here, because it can summarize vast amount of data, it can build reports, it can help in building reports and building advanced analytics on your own data. So actually you can find new patterns, find new trends or relationships within your data. Looks good, but how exactly is generative AI applicable for fintechs? Let's take a look. So here we summarized 6 main use cases, in our opinion, that would be implemented using generative AI technology. First, virtual assistants, and that's the main topic of our second part. We will talk about virtual assistants a little bit later in our next slides. But generally speaking, virtual assistants provide you personalized financial advice. It can answer queries, assist customers in navigating complex financial processes. So it will act as 24/7 support for your business, right? So actually it can replace partially human interaction and actually answer typical and regular questions from your new customers or existing customers. Then generative AI can help in risk assessment. Since you can generate data, since you can summarize data, build reports, you can actually simulate different financial scenarios using generative AI. And that also speeds up the process of risk assessment. Other case where you can apply generative AI is investment planning. Actually, it works in a similar way to risk assessment. You can generate data for simulations, you can analyze different market conditions, you can build predictive models, so you can actually optimize different strategies that you have within your business. Based on that, based on actually first two use cases, risk assessment and investment planning, you can build more robust decision-making systems, because generative AI goes beyond traditional analytics. It extends your toolset. You can better identify patterns, you can better identify correlations, you can better find new trends within your data, and that, of course, gives you powerful tool to perform decisions for your business. Other use case related to generative AI is predicting market trends. Of course, it cannot predict the price of some financial asset for the next month or year, but it can summarize the data you have. It can build report, and that actually will help you to build other predictive models that actually will help to get additional knowledge for market trends. And as I said in the beginning of my topic, generative AI can help in automating financial documents creation, because you can set up a structure for your document. You can actually ask generative AI to process different documents within your knowledge base, make a summarization, put it as a paragraphs into your new document, or completely generate a structure for new document. And that will take just a couple of seconds instead of manually typing and writing document for hours, right? So that's another benefit. You can speed up the process of creation of new documents. Okay, the next topic would be virtual AI assistants. Now we have basic understanding of what is generative AI. We know benefits, we know some use cases. Let's talk about assistant technology. Virtual assistants are essentially applications that use artificial intelligence and natural language processing models to understand and respond to user queries or commands. Essentially, they act as a chatbot, or they act as 24/7 support for your business. And the goal is to simulate human interaction. So you can actually enhance user experience. You can do some basic commands. You can ask a virtual assistant to provide you additional information from your knowledge base. And actually, virtual assistants can be found in different platforms. You can run them on mobile devices, you can run them in web, you can run them even on embedded devices, even on speakers, messaging applications, whatever. So we are not limited to some particular hosting options. We can do that on different devices. So how generative AI can help in virtual assistants? What would be the concrete cases or concrete focus areas for generative AI in this case? The first one, natural language understanding. Of course, generative AI can work for natural language understanding and processing. That basically includes recognizing intents. So we can understand what's the intent of our user. Then based on that intent, we can launch some APIs, we can execute commands, we can extract information. So actually we can respond to that intent, right? That's how the majority of virtual assistants are working right now. So for example, Siri, for example, Alexa, they work pretty much similar to this concept. You have intent to ask something from that virtual assistant. Virtual assistant understands intent and is trying to respond to you with some useful information or do some useful action based on your intent. Then, of course, generative AI helps in contextual responses. So it takes into account your preferences. It takes into account particular history of communication, so it can better respond with proper information and content. Of course, generative AI can help with dialogue generation, because based on contextual responses, it can combine different answers, it can summarize previous history, it can search through previous history. So that's why generative AI is really powerful tool to work with chatbots. Of course, we were talking about personalization on previous slides. And since generative AI can analyze your preferences, since it can use all of the history of previous communication and interaction with virtual assistant, it can give you better results based on your previous requests. Then virtual assistants now can perform basic task automation. So since we can analyze intent, since we can get intent out of our customer, we can actually generate API call to our backend. We can launch some commands, we can fetch information, we can perform some actions, and that makes virtual assistants based on generative AI super powerful. So essentially, we can now connect our internal APIs with our public interfaces, and that helps us to execute commands faster without even human interaction. And of course, generative AI can be used for continuous learning. That basically means that after you launch your virtual assistant, you can collect data out of your users, you can improve your virtual assistant, you can get better results based on interaction for previous users. Okay, what would be specific benefits for fintech? Natural language understanding for financial jargon. So actually, when you have new customers or when you have existing customers that do not know every single financial term, sometimes support just spends time on explaining basic terms, explaining basic processes, and actually you can move the task out of humans to virtual assistants. So basically, person can interact with virtual assistant in a form of live chat or in a form of call and ask some basic questions, and virtual assistant will respond with information about your financial products, about investment strategies, about some regulatory and compliance stuff, and actually that will make sure that person fully understands your products and fully understands your ecosystem. Then, of course, virtual assistant can help in another case that we discussed on the previous slides, fraud detection assistance. Since virtual assistant will have access to user history, we can analyze history, we can analyze preferences, we can actually detect some anomalies in user behavior, and that, of course, will help us to protect user and protect user account from any suspicious actions. Another case where we can apply virtual assistants in fintech, of course, is customer education. It's related to the first one, but in this case, we can build assistant that actually will educate our users about how can we use some particular feature of our product or ecosystem, or where can we find any useful information regarding some financial product or financial process. What about security? That's the most common question we've got from our customers. We can share data outside organization. What can we do? So in this case, you have three main models. First, you need to understand whether you are working with public data or private data. If you are working with public data, it's publicly available on your website, or for example, you would like to build virtual assistant based on your FAQ session, then you can use existing models like ChatGPT from OpenAI and other powerful models. In this case, you are not sharing any sensitive data or any private data, so you can use this technology to help you in your virtual assistants. If that's not the case for you, if you have sensitive data, or if you, for example, would like to analyze user preferences, in this case, definitely you will need to have private solution. And for private solution, I mean for solution where you host model within your infrastructure, within your secure perimeter, you have two main options. The first one is to use AI model as a service. Right now, multiple cloud providers, they provide you option to provision some specific model inside your infrastructure, and that basically means that data never leaves your organization. In this case, of course, you may observe some limitations. So before going with managed model, first you need to analyze what are the capabilities of that model, whether it has any limitations, whether it covers all of your use cases that you would like to build for your virtual assistant. If it fits all of your use cases, you can go with such an option. And in case if you really need custom development, in case when you cannot find ready to use model for your cases, then you can build custom model, or you can, for example, take a model from public open source repositories, such as Hugging Face, for example, extend model, fine-tune model, and after that, deploy it privately inside your infrastructure. So in this case, of course, you will need more time for development, but that will actually implement all of your use cases. Okay, let's take a look into implementation. So we will start with process flow for our own internal HR chatbot that we built for Yalantis. So diagram is really simple. All starts with user intent. For example, user is searching for particular information, or would like to ask some clarification questions, or for example, is using virtual assistant as a help center. So basically, we are collecting some intent from our user. In our case, we did it in a form of live chat. So in the middle, you can see chat system, where actually that part of our solution accepts user request in the form of live chat. It processes request and prepare it for AI model execution, and actually triggers our AI model component. On the right side, you have AI model that actually performs three main actions. It searches for an answer through our internal knowledge base. Then it makes executive summary using large language model. And of course, it provides relative links to our internal documentation. In terms of architecture itself, we have three main layers of our solution. We have access layer, where we host our front-end part. We have backend layer, where we have different components related to our chat system and AI model. And of course, we have database. So it seems to be like a traditional layered architecture, but with some fine-tunings. So specifically for this showcase, we selected open source decentralized messenger called Synapse, and we integrated with it. So basically, we implemented our AI model and integrated into that open source server. Essentially, we have front end that we took from open source. We have messaging server that also is a ready component. So we actually focused on model development and actually chatbot logic development. In terms of technology choice, for our AI part, we selected Haystack. It's a popular large language model framework that helps to build production-ready applications. And this framework allows us to use different models. It can use OpenAI models, it can use Cohere models, it can use open source models. So any pre-trained model can be used with this framework. As for other technology choices, so front-end part is traditional choice React.js, backend is on Python, and we selected Amazon as cloud provider. Just to point that chatbot can be launched on any platform. I mean that it can be ported to Azure, it can be ported to Google, we can launch it on premises, so we are not limited to some particular hosting. Okay, so now we can switch to a short demo. I will show how chatbot works for our organization. So first I will sign in into our chat system. Then I have to select a room where our assistant can help us with some particular questions. Let's ask some basic. So for example, I'm a newcomer. I would like to know how can I request a day off? So that's a really typical question for any type of organization. So let's ask our chatbot and take a look how it will respond. Okay, so as you can see, our chatbot provides comprehensive information about how can we request day off. So it actually searches through our internal knowledge base. It makes summarization, so it actually displays the actual information about how can we request day off, provides link to our internal system where we can do that. And actually, if we need more information, it provides us a link to a full detailed information about how can we request day off. But what if we have other questions? What if we have a situation, let's call it edge case. So for example, let's ask another question. I don't have any available days off, but I still would like to request another one. What can I do? So that's not a typical question for our HR bot, right? So in this case, we need to answer that you need to contact your manager. If you don't know your manager, sometimes it happens, right? You can find that information in our internal system, and chatbot provides link. So that's a very important step. If AI assistant cannot find answer within knowledge base, we should respond with proper answer to our user. Because many generative AI technologies, they have one significant drawback. When you are asking question and they cannot find information through knowledge base, they start generating content because they are generative models, right? So they can think something about your request and answer just a generic answer to you. That's a bad thing with virtual assistants. That's why we trained our assistant in a way that once cannot find the most appropriate answer, it responds in a way that you need to contact your manager and ask that question directly to that person. Okay, let's get back to our presentation and let's summarize what we have discussed today. So, generative AI, it allows us to generate different types of content. It allows us to process big amounts of data. It can summarize data. It can perform summarization tasks and many other tasks. It can be used for conversational human interactions. Virtual assistants, in other way, use different AI models and use different natural language processing models. You can run virtual assistants on different platforms, web platforms, mobile platforms, even embedded platforms. You can use virtual assistant for dialogue generation, for personalization, for contextual responses, and so on. And actually, you train your virtual assistant using your knowledge base. And actually, you tune then virtual assistant to perform some specific tasks for advanced automation. As a technical solution, first step, you will need to find and refine all applicable use cases for virtual assistant. Then, of course, you need to understand security and privacy concerns using those three simple models. If data is public, you can use third-party models. If data is private or sensitive or uses private or sensitive data from your users, then you should go with managed model concept or with privately hosted custom model. The next step, of course, would be to select proper technology and proper models. After that, you will need to implement solution and actually integrate with your existing system. And last but not least, after you launched your virtual assistant into production, you will need to monitor and enhance solution. So actually, your journey starts when you launched your virtual assistant, not when you implemented it and you are ready to deploy. So you need to collect additional information, and based on real user feedbacks, you can enhance your virtual assistant. So of course, it will take some time, but typically generative AI models are working really well out of the box. You just need to fine tune them. All right. So basically, that's it for me for today. I'm happy to answer your questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for the presentation. I enjoyed the live demo mostly. And the questions are going to be mostly about the solution you've presented. The first question is about the customization level. How customizable can such a virtual assistant be, specifically to the internal processes of, I guess, any company? Can it be used across domains, or is it used specifically for banks? Is it used specifically for a single industry and for specifically training purposes, or can it perform any other functions?
Thank you. That is a great question. Actually, generative AI can be used in different domains, in various domains. So the beauty of generative AI is that you can take or select one model, and you can fine-tune that model for different cases. So it works like a layered model or like a plugin model. So in the core, you have your large language model, and you need to fine-tune them based on your content. So simple answer will be, we need to take your data, we need to take your knowledge base, and we need to provide additional context to the model. So yes, it's domain agnostic, and it's actually task agnostic, I will say in that way.
That's great. Thank you. And talking about the integration possibilities of such a solution, how well does it integrate with ERPs, CRMs, the systems that are normally used in companies? Is it a complex process to integrate such a solution, and what will it require?
Okay, that's a good question. So actually, the systems that we are building, they work as a plugin model. So essentially, we decoupled AI model out of chat system. That's why we can integrate it with any other system. The complexity of integration, of course, depends on how many systems you would like to include into virtual assistant. And that's not a quite complex process, but it requires some discovery and, of course, implementation. But in terms of complexity, again, we can write, for example, some simple proxies or some simple middleware that will interconnect our AI model, generative AI model with your existing landscape, with your existing systems.
Oh, so you're saying that it can actually be connected to multiple systems at once, and it can serve for different tools, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, that's great. Well, in that case, I have a question about the performance and I guess the speed of answers. Will that increase or decrease in case it is connected to multiple systems? And the overall performance question, I mean, in the presentation you've demonstrated, it gave answers quite quickly. Will it work later on as there will be more data to process, more answers to give? How does it perform in general? I guess that's the main question.
I will say that AI models, they are quite consuming. So I will not say that you can get super cheap AI model hosted in your organization, but that's not thousands of dollars. We are talking right now about hundreds of dollars per month to host AI model. And that, of course, depends on the scale. So if you have a system that will work for 100 users, that will be a completely different system for a solution where you have thousands of users. So it all depends on first amount of users, second amount of integrations, third your own limitations on infrastructure. So actually we can guarantee good performance, like second, sub-second, or couple of seconds to respond for some requests. But if you have budget limitations, we can build solutions that actually will meet your expectations on infrastructure cost, but still provide good performance. So it's a question of scalability. It's a question of cost efficiency. But yeah, it's all doable.
Thank you. I guess the last question I have is about the functionality. Just like you've mentioned, it can be applied to different levels of systems and to a different level of complexity. So do you mean to say that there will be more functions that you can add to this particular chatbot, and it can actually perform more operations?
Yes, of course. It can be extended and it should be extended. So the simplest way that virtual assistants are working right now is that they are searching through your internal knowledge base. But that's not only use case. Generative AI models, they can actually talk to your APIs, they can fetch information out of your backend, they can be integrated with, as I said, multiple systems. That's why we need to understand intents of your users. So for example, if they would like to request a day off, if they would like to get a balance, if they would like to know how to perform some particular action within your system, generative AI can trigger other APIs, and that's how automation works. So essentially, we can build virtual assistant that will trigger different functions from different systems. And that's why we have such powerful mechanism. Actually, in case of custom integration, you will need to write each action precisely to understand what should you do in each particular case. With generative AI, it can do it by its own. It's almost a magic.
Oh yeah, that does sound like magic. Thank you so much. I'm out of questions here. Thank you so much for the presentation. It was a great session, and not only we got to dive deeper into the AI trends and the levels of their adoption, we can actually see that AI is no longer a luxury that can be afforded by huge companies with amazing budgets, with years of being in practice, right? It's actually something that is already getting close to almost every stage of the banking industry, or the fintech industry, and not only the financial businesses as well. And I was amazed by the fact that you can just pay hundreds of dollars to get a full virtual assistant, like a real virtual employee working for your company, automating processes, driving informational and educational changes, providing information, triggering actions. That's something amazing. And I love how it can actually already be applied in the banking sphere. So the only thing we are aware of now and considering and thinking about is the regulatory compliance. Hope that regulators will soon be more educated of the possibilities and make it a more seamless process to integrate. And I'm sure that we haven't covered all of the questions that our listeners had, but I'm sure that we can answer these questions later on. And if you are the one watching this video and thinking about a question, feel free to reach out to us on our LinkedIn channel. Just type in Yalantis and you'll find us. Feel free to reach out to us via our email. That can be hello@yalantis.com. Feel free to visit our website and go to our contact section, where you can just find our number and you can find our contact form in case you are thinking about a project. We'll be happy to provide you with more details. And feel free to reach out to Dan and Anton, who was previously presenting as well. We'll be happy to answer all of your questions. Thank you so much for your attention today, and hope you had a great time. Feel free to get back to us with